Somebody got it. I'm glad to hear it.
Well, we will get started, and if we get done early, cool. If not, we'll take as many questions you guys have at the end as well. So this is what's new in Google session, and generally the answer to that question is always a lot. It doesn't matter what day it is, or if we just did the session yesterday, there's probably a lot of new stuff from yesterday to today. That's where Google rocks. So your two presenters today are myself and Taylor. That's who we are. So we want to start by letting people know that Classic Hangouts again is going away. So that's the thing that's in your email currently. It's this darker green application. If you have the Hangouts app on your phone, it's not going to work in G Suite after a certain date, which we don't have set in stone yet, but it's coming. It will work for non-G Suite accounts, so you can still use Hangouts for that, but it won't work within our G Suite. Yep, the same over. So instead, we say hello to Hangouts Chat, which looks a little bit different. It's much more light. And what's different? The biggest things here are that in Hangouts, currently you're notified of everything. If something comes through, you get a notification about it.
So for instance, like we have in IT, we have a chat that we've had for years, like a group chat with everyone in IT in it. And we will use that for like maybe quick incidents and things, like something's happening, something's broken, we'll kind of jump in there. Or we use it sort of instead of informal emails, like jokes or whatever, kind of go in there too. Probably should have two different ones, honestly. It seems like maybe we shouldn't mix those. But the problem with that is there's like 20 of us in there. Every single time anyone sends a message, you get a ping in your email, or if you have the phone app, you get a notification on your phone. So it can be a lot, especially if it's something that, like, I don't know, the Wi-Fi's down and maybe I'm working from like home. And I go, that's great, not my problem. Like, I don't know anything about the Wi-Fi, so.
And so the difference there is that in Hangouts Chat, when we have our group there, you're only notified about in the group chat, which is it's called the room. You're only notified of the first message in each thread. So when I post a new thread, and we'll show you this later on, but when you post in a new thread, everybody's notified of the first post in that, but there's 25 more of those if you've not subscribed or looked at it or like interacted with it in any way, shape, or form. You're not notified of the next 25 messages. They're there for you to read if you want to go back and look at them, but you don't get a ping for everything.
You think of it like an email thread. Like if someone starts a new email thread and 50 other people reply, but you don't even go in there and reply once, or you don't have anything to do with it, it won't notify you. But we'll go over exactly kind of how that looks.
Hangouts did individual group messages and video. Hangouts Chat does individual groups. And then, so group, you can have a group message, just a bunch of people where everybody gets notified. But then you've got the rooms, which are more like topic-based or around like a bigger department. And that's where you can do the sub-conversations inside the room. A group chat is just like, there's three of us that are chatting. We will all get notifications for just group pieces. And then individual chats, like if I'm just, Taylor and I are chatting, we're always going to get notifications for that. Hangouts.google.com, going away. And the chat.google.com is where you want to go to take a look at those things. And just to kind of show you what that looks like, I'll just open this up really quick. Chat.google.com. And this is the basic interface for it. And currently, again, it's not in your email yet. It will be at some point. If you have a new message up at the top, this thing will change to like a pink color to let you know there's something new going on. Taylor sent us a message here. See, something interesting. And then he might be sending me another message right now, I think. I'm not sure. But you can see that in this academic technology area, there are threads. So you can see that this is a separate message that he sent. But then there's another thread up here, and they're delineated by a break. And we have different conversations going on within each of these things. You can see who's replied in there and who hasn't. And you can see if I'm following it or not. Some things I might be following, some things I might not be. Like I'm not following that thread.
So for this is a good example. Chrissy sent a message and I replied, and that's kind of where it ended. But if it continued from there, I would get notifications of everything. But because Ben just looked at it, didn't say anything, he didn't reply, and or the other option is he could click this follow button if he's like, I'm not going to say anything, but I still really want to get every notification. You could click that button. But most of the time, I've found anyway, that most of the time if I'm not saying anything, I don't need to know the second every time someone posts a message.
Inside of here, so this is just an individual conversation between he and I. Some other cool things between this and the app on your phone is if it's really, if Google will try to infer sort of like what you're talking about and give you these short little messages like they do in kind of our email now. So you can just quickly reply, but I can also do a reaction. And so if I hover over this, I get this little face, and then I can click any of these emojis and put them in there. I can change the skin tone if I wanted to. And just react with it. So if I wanted to just let them know I saw it, or maybe we're voting on something, I just do a thumbs up. And if there are other people in this room, if they click that, the number count will go up. So it'll tell you how many people thumbs up something or thought the same thing, had the same reaction. Whereas in there, see, he reacted immediately. He's got this with that, and if I click on it, it changes into a 2. I think he's cool too. And so you can that's kind of the basics of how Hangouts Chat works. You have your rooms, you have your people, and sort of group conversations up here. And then there are bots, which we'll maybe talk about here in a minute. But that's the basic layout of what it looks like. Just kind of a clean, pretty easy thing. You know, it's you can start a new thread if you want, and this again just starts a whole new channel of conversation. You can upload files. You can grab things from Google Drive. You can create Hangout Meets directly in here. So you can, if you want a video chat with a group, or you can just hit that button, you hit send, and then whoever is in there can hit that picture of the Hangout Meet. They're immediately in a video chat with you at that moment. So you don't have to have a calendar invite or whatever if you don't want. And then I can also just do emojis if I want to. And you can also type emojis by using the colon. So slightly smiling face, I can put that in there if I want or whatever. And this is where sometimes we talk about, in the last session, we talked about how context can get messed up a little bit sometimes in email. And actually emojis can show you more context and help let you know if I'm you might type a sentence one way with an exclamation point, and somebody might not be sure if you're angry or happy. And then you might put a happy face up, like, oh, they're happy, okay, cool. Or you might put the devil face with it's turning red, whatever, or something, and be like, okay, they're not happy about this. And so you can give some really quick context by just using an emoji, which is kind of helpful. Again, you can chat with groups or individuals. You can kind of see what that looks like. You can find people, rooms, or bots by searching for them. You can search for anything. One other big difference between Hangouts and Hangouts Chat is in the search box up at the top. You can search for anything within a conversation. So if you remember having a conversation about something, you can search for it, or a document or whatever. It'll search all your conversations and find that thing as well, which you can't do in Hangouts, which is one of the big detriments of Hangouts, was being able to search for something and find out. You could kind of do that in your email, but this allows you to do it right inside of Hangouts Chat, which is nice. So you can create rooms, and you can create them around projects, topics, departments, whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. So we have a tech bar chat for our tech bar. We have a Quavadas chat for the ITS division. We experimented with this for a year, so we want to learn some lessons. In tech bar, we had tech bar chat, then we had tech bar scheduled chat, then we had the domains chat. And after about 6 months, we said, that's too many chats. So you might think, breaking them up is good. In our case, we found, no, it really wasn't. Let's put everything in one spot. And we brought all those things back together in just a tech bar chat. And it's been a lot better. Because then you're not like, where did you put that thing?
The idea for us was, we've got a handful of students who were always figuring out schedules. So we thought, well, let's have one place where all the talk about scheduling can go. And that was fine. But when we found out was, well, actually, most of what we talked about is scheduling. So it's kind of silly to have a space just for that when we could just lump it all together, and really wasn't necessary for our purposes to break all that out. But the cool thing about this is that you have that option. If maybe your department really uses chat a lot, and you're like, you know what, we hate email, let's try to send less email, maybe you would want to break it out by topic. That's totally an option that you have.
So some room features, you have your threads. This is where you only get notifications for the first message unless you're interactive or follow the thread. You can use @replies, which here, this @all replies to everybody in the room. And it will send, so if you need to notify somebody of a thread, like maybe there's 25 messages in something and everybody's not following that and you need them to take a look at it, you reply @all, or you do the @all. Everybody gets a message about that at that moment. Hey,
whether they click that follow button or whether they replied or not. So that, again, the context of that is, in our case, maybe there's a problem with something and someone posts a message and 2 or 3 of us in IT are trying to fix that problem and then we're talking in that thread. But then at the end, they might put an @ just so everyone knows this is taken care of. Even if they weren't paying attention, you will still get a notification.
And then the @person, which is just @ person's name, that will notify that person directly. Anybody who's in the room, you can use their name @this person, and it'll direct the chat directly to them, which is helpful. Again, you can also schedule meetings with bots with everybody in the room, and so that looks something like this. If I'm in the Hangouts chat, and let's just say I wanted to schedule a meeting, I would do @meet. Oops. If I have to spell it right. There it is, in my meet bot.
Why don't you put it in our academic type and insert it?
Yeah, there you go. That's it. I don't know if it's got it. Let's see how it- Oh, there it is. So. So add the bot, and then it looks through everybody's schedule. Who do you want to add the meeting other than yourself? And then I would type in that, like. So I can have a quick thing, and then it's going to look through our schedules and see that I'm not available next week. So it's probably not going to work. Anyway, you can do that with the bot, but there are a whole bunch of other bots that you can do with like. There's polling bots, which are a little bit bigger polls that you can use. There are some other things for like AI and other weird stuff, but for the most part, the Meet bot's like the only one I found that's super interesting so far. So there are bots. Moving along here a little bit, we talked about adding reactions. So we saw some of that for quick polling. You can share files, pop into Hangouts meetings, and use the bots. So if you want to try it out, you can go to meet.google or chat.google.com and start chatting with people right now if you want. So we'll give you like 3 minutes to just try it out if you happen to have a device in front of you, you want to see what it looks like, and then we'll jump into this other stuff. Just so you can try it.
And ask questions.
And ask questions while we're sitting here. So,
yeah.
So what are you calling it? Chat.google.com?
Chat.google.com.
Sure. The way you do that.
You hit the plus button. Create a room. You can, if you have a Google group that's already those people, you can just have a Google group, or you can type their name.
Just kind of show everyone that. So if you're at chat.google.com, this search box in the top left, this is where you can actually create new chats with people. So you can create a room of people, or you can do a group message, which is meant for just a smaller group of people. Or you can just type someone's name in directly, and you can start seeing people you recently chatted with, or group chats, or everyone with the name Taylor who has the same Robert account. So that's kind of how that works. All your recent stuff is also listed over here.
Oh, what's a video meeting?
Yeah, so you can join video meetings. So if I click that button, it will make a video meeting, and it sends me that same thing. So on my phone, well, if I was on my computer, of course it would work too. But on my phone, I just got a message from Ben with that link, and if I click on it, it'll jump me right into the meeting.
So
and I'm gonna
We
meet my.
can use this to interview people.
Sure. In fact, this is what you should be using for
This is what it
interviews.
is. Okay.
The reality is, a lot of people want to use other tools, but Skype often requires a download. Zoom requires a download.
And
or-
accounts.
And an account.
They need accounts for that kind of stuff, whereas our Google Meet, you guys already have the same number of accounts, so you're covered there, but the person on the other end doesn't actually need to have a Google account.
Awesome.
So all you have to do is make a calendar appointment and invite them to it, whatever their email
Okay.
address is, doesn't matter what kind of email address they
All
have.
right.
They'll get that email, and there's a link right in there with the video meeting. So this is just one way to make the video meeting, but I would say for an interview, I would use the calendar appointment, because then you can invite whoever else is going, from the division.
And if people can't make it physically, because they're on a trip, but they want to be at, like, you can just have those people join via video as well, whether it's on their phone or whatever. And they don't have to have their face on it, they can just be listening and watching what's
Sure.
going on.
I don't know.
Like, we don't have to be tied to rooms and times, and like, we have this great ability to be able to do all this stuff, so.
Yeah, we do that a lot in IT, like if we have a video meeting with somebody frequently, I will take that from someplace that isn't on campus because they're also not on campus, so what's the difference, Or maybe I'll go to another space that's just not at my desk, We have some spaces in the library and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's a tool we have and it costs us nothing, but all the other tools that people are like, well, we should use this tool, that tool, those cost money most of the time. So why would we not go with the free tool? And it works for anybody in the world as long as they can use the Chrome browser or the Firefox browser can jump on to that thing. Internet Explorer currently doesn't work, but it will shortly. That was not Internet Explorer, it would be Edge. So on Windows, that will work soon. And Safari doesn't, but
It will probably.
they just need Chrome or Firefox essentially. As long as they don't have to have an account with either of those things, they just need the browser.
There's been so many times where I've had to do a Skype call with someone, and then I get a call, like a email from them 2 minutes after the call started with, I don't remember my password for Skype. I'm like, "Well, I can't help you. I don't work at Microsoft. Like, I don't know. Make a new account, I guess. Like, so that's
Right
to
here.
me just the fact that they
Oh,
don't
there it
need to
goes.
have any kind of account is such
Message about?
a benefit.
Do you guys have any questions about chat?
To add the bots on, is that where you use message about?
Yes.
Yep.
We do message about and that'll.
And there's a ton of bots. Honestly, I think Ben and I probably haven't played around with these quite enough. But there are some interesting ones, maybe the Drive one. There's a Google Drive bot that will, every time someone shares a document, you can get a message. I personally don't think I would like that. But it also can let you know if someone has commented on a particular document, things like that. Maybe you're going through your email and deciding, I don't want those notifications via email anymore. You can do that.
What are the
There's-
ones that you do use most frequently?
What?
We tried out a bunch at the beginning and found we just didn't really need to use them very much. The Meet bot is probably the one that's most interesting because you can help schedule meetings with people inside of it. But calendar works really good for that.
Yeah.
So we just don't need to do it. So I think the bot thing is interesting. I just don't know that there's that much of a use
I
for it.
think at some point it would probably be worth us exploring a little bit more, but the last time we looked into it was when Google Chat just came out, so there was only a couple options. Just looking at that, there's a lot more options now, but most of the time we're happy just to use this to talk to other people. So
What were the two browsers again?
Chrome and Firefox. Google Chrome, Google Firefox.
Any other questions? All right, we have lots of other things to talk to you about, so. Gmail, let's talk about what's new there. One thing that happened in March was my favorite Google email client inbox was shut down, and I had to merge back into Gmail. Unfortunately, Google had two of them for a little bit. And they moved some of those features in Gmail, so it wasn't too bad, but I still kind of miss Inbox, honestly. But the big things in Gmail are Smart Compose now happens, and it happens on if you have Gmail, the app on your phone, and not using like Mail, Apple Mail or Samsung Mail or whatever. If you just use the Gmail app, it'll help you start. This saves me so much time when I'm on my phone. because it completes all the sentences for me and things are spelled right, and I just have to slide and boom. Oh my God, does that save me?
Now I
some
just
time.
needed to just reply to emails from you. That would be excellent.
It happens the same way inside of the email client on the web. So it'll complete not only, if you haven't filled in a subject, you start typing the email, it can also then complete the subject for you, again, for the subject, which is pretty great. And if you have completed the subject, it'll infer what you're writing based upon that as well. It's not always right, but it gets better over time. It's machine learning, so it keeps getting better and better and better and better. And it learns how you type and what you say, so that it sounds like you instead of some generic bot.
So it's anticipating what you're gonna talk about?
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, and
Anticipates the rest of the
obviously
sentence.
it's not going to know what you want to talk about at the beginning of the sentence. But if you say something mid-sentence, it'll take a guess. And I kind of look at it like the autocomplete on the keyboard of your phone, where you're typing and it's got the you need to say this word next. But it's going a little bit further than that, and especially if I'm answering an email from my phone, I find it really helpful to save that time.
It's not irritating, huh? If you just keep typing it, if it doesn't say.
If
what
you,
want.
if you don't,
Yeah, you don't have to dismiss it or anything. If you don't want, you have to,
Just keep
so this, you'll notice this, you have to actually swipe, you have to do like a little swipe from the left to the right to actually use it. So if you just keep typing, it's gonna just ignore that suggestion and won't
Okay.
put it in there or anything.
and then on your computer, you hit the tab.
And you have to hit
So
the tab key on
If
it.
Yeah.
you like, yep, that's what I wanted to type, you just hit tab and it puts you right at the end and you
Okay.
continue typing.
Okay.
If you,
Yeah.
I think Google, they did some sort of study at Google and it saved like 90 million keystrokes in a year or something like that.
Oh,
And
It
again,
is really nice.
it's about efficiencies, and you can, like, everybody's got their own opinion about how these things work, and if you think, oh, it's too creepy for me, then just don't use it. You can turn it off and not have it suggest.
But yeah, you don't have to frankly, I think it would be a nightmare. If you had to cancel it or exit away,
Yeah.
you don't have to do that. No, if you don't specifically hit the tab key or swipe to the right on your phone, it's not going to put that text in there at all.
do I have to go and turn it on?
I think it should.
Should be on by
It's
default.
automatic.
I want to say one other thing that I love is when I get an email from somebody, they'll give me like 3 choices of how I want to reply, because 99% of the time it's one of those, and it's so
Smart
easy
reply, yeah.
to
Which I
click
think
that.
is
I
part
love
of this.
that.
Yeah, it's just it'll, especially on the mobile app, but it's starting to do that even now in the web version. If it's just like, thank you, got it, whatever, it just does those little snippets, which are a lot of times we want. Then the send it later feature, so you can schedule an email either in the phone app, or you can hit again that little down arrow next to the send key in Gmail and the web. There's a set schedule send, so you can send it tomorrow or whatever. And there's a big push to Chris. So I'm gonna throw Chrissy under the bus for a second. When I started, Chrissy was very much, she works weird hours, like she just sometimes doesn't sleep, and so she's up at 2 a.m. and she's doing work, and you get emails from her in the middle of the night, and or I get up in the morning, like I have 4 emails from Chrissy, like, geez, what are you doing? Like, I don't want to look at these until I get to work. And so we would talk to her and go, Chrissy, you shouldn't be working at 2 a.m. It's not healthy. And she's like, well, I don't want you guys to do it. Fine, then don't send us this emails. So she started using Boomerang to schedule those. So
Which
that they
was a
came out.
third-party plugin.
Right. And now this is built into Gmail. So if you were using Boomerang, I would remove it from your add-ons, because you don't want to give anything third-party access that doesn't.
If you think about that third party, so that's just a company that theoretically has access to your email.
Okay, my question is, because I use Boomerang, and I have some set up to pop in August, because there's some projects that I'm waiting for information. How do I get them back and cancel Boomerang?
It's been a while since I've used Boomerang, but I believe Boomerang makes a folder. And you're talking about a different feature, which is snoozing.
I snoozed it,
yeah.
so
So I believe Boomerang
in
has
here,
a
I mean,
snooze folder.
I
that you
do.
could- And then you could just move those back to your inbox,
And
delete
then-
Boomerang, and then there's also, we'll talk about snooze in a
Oh,
second.
And
okay.
there's Snooze built into Gmail as well. So those are
Okay.
the two
So
features.
this is different. That's an email you received and you wanted to make go away for a while and come back. This is, I want to send an email, but I don't want the person on the other end to receive it for a period of time.
And I use that for birthdays and auxiliaries, because I send all the
Yep.
birthday messages out.
Oh, okay, that's.
When I did that last week, my boss was on vacation, and I didn't want her to get this email
Yep.
until the day she returned. I didn't
Right.
want her to think about it, and that
Sure.
worked really nice.
Yeah, so schedule send is an important thing, and I think it just helps with work balance life in today's world. Like, if you want to work after hours, that's totally cool, but don't think everybody else should. Is sort of my theory on that. Some things that are coming very shortly, or are already sort of taking place, is something called dynamic email, which you've seen a little bit of this stuff, but you can now like reply directly in your email to a comment on Google Drive without having to go to the document. You'll be able to see like it's clearly for ads, but there's going to be some nifty things with ads inside of here as well, being able to kind of like browse a website inside of your email kind of thing. So that's coming or is taking effect right now, but you can, without having to leave your email to reply to somebody's comment in Google Docs, you can just do it right inside there, which is that's kind of the big use here, I would say. There's some things that are like that with like calendar where you click like just, you don't have to open the email, you can just click the little drop down and say, yes, I'm going to it without even opening it. It's similar to that. So this, again, if you go to the tech bar site and click on the resources, this is inside there, but one of the things that I put in here was just from some tips from Google on how to master email with some essential tips and things that they cutting down on notifications, responding, so on and so forth. Like these are just some emails, like they've done some studies on how to feel less inundated and less overwhelmed by email. And so there's just some tips on here that you can kind of read at your leisure, but I thought I'd include that. It's kind of neat. Again, I mentioned this morning that I got currently I have 12 emails. That's probably the most emails I normally like. I don't normally have 12 emails. Most of these are the meet recordings. And honestly, I'm not going to get back to those for a little bit. So this is how I do my email, and I'll show you a couple things because we'll show you the snooze part. So the first thing I might do is I might look through this really quick, and I know that these things I don't want to take care of until tomorrow. So I'm going to grab all of those right now and just look and see if there's anything else. There's not, and I'm going to go ahead. This is the snooze button right here, and I'll snooze that until tomorrow. I'll take care of that tomorrow when I get into work. So those are taken care of. I don't have to look at those anymore. She's got an odd question about audio video lag. I'll maybe take a look at that yet, so I'm gonna leave it in here. This is something I don't need to deal with till tomorrow. I'm not gonna worry about that till tomorrow. I don't even know if I need to worry about that at all. This looks like it's already done, so it doesn't matter. And then these things down here, I definitely don't need to look at. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just actually, I'm gonna snooze these two. But then I'm going to select all this other stuff. I don't need to look at this important fall dates because I'm not going to be here. And I'll take a look at these two emails right here. So I'm going to leave these in my inbox. And now I'm down to, these are just the things I need to take care of before I go home today. That's all that's in my inbox.
Let Don know you're leaving?
Don knows.
Okay.
We've already talked. So that's how I do my email. And again, you saw that you can also just snooze right from here too. There's a little
We just have one message.
So that's how I handle it. Does that mean that's how you have to handle it? No, but this makes me feel good when I can see that my inbox is manageable. If I see my inbox is unmanageable, it freaks me out, and I'll spend the time to make it manageable again. Even if that means sometimes my snooze items are really long. Like it's pretty long right now because these videos, but that's fine. Because if there are things I don't need to take action on until next week or 3 weeks from now, why would I want to look at them in my email box? I don't.
And then, like, there's a bunch of different uses for that. When I was on paternity leave, I had, of course, like a vacation responder. So a lot of my email I just kind of threw out. But there was some email that I could not throw out that I really need to get back to, but I didn't want to leave it in there and be thinking about it. Especially because at that point I wasn't checking my email like every day. I was checking my email. I don't know. I think I checked my email like 3 times when I was on maternity leave total, which even that, maybe that was too much. But I snoozed a lot of it till the day I got back to work, and then I snoozed even more of it until a couple weeks after the day I got back to work. Stuff where it was like, yeah, I should look into that, but it's not anyone asking me a question. It's just, something I need to remember to do at some point in July. So one of these days here, I'll probably get like 15 of those. But you could also do it more strategically and not all do it on one day also. So that can be a really nice tool.
Looking into Google Slides, so anybody have questions about you? Be pretty happy with that. Hopefully learn something, I hope. If not, that's cool. Google Slides, one of the new features in this is you're actually able to do real-time captioning. And so I'll actually show you this live instead. Slides is great because you can do, like, I'm playing this video inside, this YouTube video is playing inside the slides. Whereas if I did a YouTube video in PowerPoint, that doesn't work. It takes you to YouTube. So it takes you out of your presentation, which is a pain in the butt. I can also play videos from inside of Google Drive. So I can just post things there and they play inside of the presentation, which is nice. But a new feature that they just launched very recently is captioning. And so now I'm allowing this mic to happen, and you can see now that it's typing everything that I'm saying on the bottom, so that people who are deaf or hard to hear, or let's say maybe you're just sitting in a bad spot and you can't hear me, or whatever the case might be, they can now see what I'm saying. Or if I'm recording this via screen capture or something like that, you're going to be able to see all of the captions on the bottom. And Google's pretty darn good at captioning things overall, like 98% accurate or something like that.
Yeah,
sure.
and the key is being close to the microphone. So you can see right now, it's still getting what I'm saying, but I'm talking pretty loud, and it's definitely taking longer than when Ben was over there. So, but if I start and I walk closer to where his computer is, then it'll all of a sudden get much more accurate and much faster. It probably helps when I don't stutter. But it's kind of an impressive feature, especially because in this case, it's doing that all on your computer. It's not even really using internet access for that. Cool.
Any questions about slides? Just in general, like that's just kind of, this is what's new in Google. That's kind of a newer feature. There are some other fun things that people don't know. There's a laser pointer that you can use inside of slides, so I can built in, which is kind of fun. You can do notes. You can also do questions, Q&As. A lot of people don't know that you can actually do audience questions, and people can actually like add in questions as somebody's presenting, and then you can go and answer those questions for people.
So maybe not for a group like this where we would want you to actually
Talk to us.
speak up and ask questions, but if you're maybe giving a presentation or someone's giving a presentation in front of 60, 80 people, you can actually use that, and people can go on their phone and type in a question, and then Ben will see the question. You can either do it live and see it while he's presenting, or I like to do is you can save them for after and see all the questions that people submitted during it, and then he can choose which ones to answer or answer all of them if he wants to. So people can kind of get those questions in as they think of them.
The other thing is there's even more control over versioning now in Google Docs, named versions. So a lot of times in the old way of doing things, we have a Word doc, which is, this is 1.0, this is 2.0, this is 3.0, and you had to do it that way. In Google, we just say whatever, doesn't matter, you can roll it back, but now you can name it. This was 1.0, or this was January, this was February, this was March, so you can now name those versions. You can see everything down to like who did what when. And then you can also make copies of specific versions at specific times as well. That's kind of cool. There's a new and better grammar and spell check, which Google was missing for a very long time, but that's now enabled. And so it does a better job of checking for spelling errors and things like that, which is great. Coming soon, we have to apply for the beta for this, but we haven't done that yet, is they have a document approval coming. So if you need to do document approvals on something, you'll be able to build that right into your document and say, I need the approval from these 3 people. And it'll lock the document until it's been completed and then returned back to the, whoever needs it at the end. So those are coming very, very shortly, and they will work on the mobile and web.
With those that, like when you think about purchase card approvals or things like that, those will be adopted by, I'm assuming somebody would have to say, like, yeah, we're on board with this.
I mean, that'd be up by whoever owns the document, right? So if finance wants to adopt that as their process, then yeah, they could do that, definitely.
It's a conversation. People, I think that's the biggest thing. People have to have these conversations. They have to be aware that these things exist, and we don't need to pay for some expensive system if we don't want.
Yeah, there are some systems that have done this for years, but they're usually like, $10,000 for a license for the whole college. And we've looked at these for years, and I'm like, well, that's a cool thing, but I don't know that we need to use the money in that way.
And what you'll see a little bit, Google Forms also has that ability now too. So What's new in Google Sheets? Auto formula suggestions. We talked about some of these this morning during my session. Trimming white space, removing duplicates, splitting text to column, using macros, grouping things together in a sheet if you need to. Coming soon are something called slicers, which are quick filterable dashboards like scorecards that are on a separate page. And then when you like share that out with people, they can use a filter to change the scorecard on the metrics that they want to see, the graphs and things, which is kind of cool. New data connectors are coming. BigQuery is a Google product, but we talked about on-premise databases. So if you have an on-premise database that you want to connect to and grab data out of and do queries on, you'll be able to do that. And then something called a connected sheet, which a connected sheet, I believe, connects to BigQuery, but it gives you access to billions of rows of data without writing SQL. And so that's going to be a big one, but that's coming later than sooner. But that one's going to be pretty amazing, and something that maybe the college might explore to allow people access into, like, right now Banner is a sort of black box, like you don't get to see anything in there. It's a potential of something like this where you can only grab the data you're given access to, and you can't write back to it, right? So I want to do a report. I want to see how many students are African American from Illinois or something like that. You want to be able to do something like that without fancy SQL queries or business objects or having somebody do it for you. But I can't guarantee that'll happen because we have to make sure our data is secure. In Hangouts Meet, we showed you that a little bit. This is the new layout. It now, when you're sharing your screen, it puts everybody kind of on the side here. But the cool part is, as people join, if you're not having the screen share up, it'll go from, if it's just one person, they're full screen. If it's two people, they'll wait next to each other. If it's three people, it'll adjust, and they'll put everybody in a screen so you can see everybody at once, which is a really new feature. The other thing that it does is it can also do captioning. So you can turn on captioning on your computer, so it'll basically live transcribe what everybody's saying and tell you who's saying it. So especially if you're having a hard time understanding somebody, or you need to turn off the audio or whatever because it's in a room and you don't have headphones, you can still read what everybody's saying. And so that's a new feature that just got launched, and it's super cool. So that's something you might want to use when you're doing interviews or whatever, so people can read it, read what people are saying, or a lot of different reasons for transcribing things. So joining Hangouts Meet is pretty simple. Again, you can kind of see what this sort of looks like. One of the other abilities is this is not for everybody. This is something we have the ability to pay for. So Google is free, but they have an enterprise version of stuff that you can pay some things for. One of them is the ability for us to record, which is what we're doing with all these sessions. We're using Hangouts Meet to record. It's $4 a user a month. So we have like 10 accounts, but we can reassign them. So if you were going to need to record a meet, we can totally do that. We just need to know, you need to let us know so we can give you a license.
Ahead of time.
Ahead of time. But you can also stream. So you can do live streaming up to I don't know, 10,000, 250,000 users, I think, can stream that if they're invited to the event. It's not like live stream on YouTube or anything like that. It's just stream whoever's invited to the calendar event. That's kind of cool. You can stream this out to people. People who are on the stream can't interact. They can just follow. They can only watch. But you can do up to what is the new limit?
It's 100 people.
100 people.
You have 100 people on a video call, which God help you, I don't know how that would actually work, but on a technical level, it is possible. You're gonna have to have most of those people muted, and that's kind of what he was talking about with the streaming thing. So the nice thing is, you have a video call, and you're thinking of it as maybe you have an event where you're bringing in a guest speaker, talk with some professors on some topic. Professors and this guest speaker could all be in the video call, but you expect people would want to be able to watch this thing. Well, you don't want them in the call. You don't want them speaking or their webcam to be shown. A stream would be a really interesting use case for that. You could have hundreds of people watching this video call happening live instead of having to, I don't know, tape it, record it, and then show it later. You can have them actually be in there watching it as it happens.
So they can do a chat.
There's a lot of interesting
processes. So some live interactions that could happen. They could chat and say, hey, I have a question about this. Those are some options.
A lot of interesting possibilities there. So.
Google Forms. So workflows, what I was just talking about, you can now create these workflows. When somebody submits a Google form, they can then Taylor must approve all puppies, so if we want a puppy in the office, he has to approve that. And so we can assign that automatically when everybody says, I would like a puppy in the form, it's gonna automatically go to Taylor. Taylor's gotta approve it or not, and it can go through several layers. And this is, again, somebody filling out a form now, not just a Google Doc. So they fill out a form, then it goes through this process, and then it notifies that person where it is in the process. There's a neat little dashboard that shows this is where the process is for the people who are on the back end, and whose like realm it's in at that point. And this will just continue to grow. It's a very brand new product, and I believe they moved it out of alpha beta, and it just is a product we can use now across campus, and it should continue to be a product. So that's good news.
But you're asking before about documents and the whole document approval thing. That's one level of this. To me, this is that kind of on steroids, right? Because you could have this go into a spreadsheet when it's all said and done if you wanted, or you could have like, say I have to, maybe your department has a specific way that you track some type of purchase before you even put through a purchase order. Maybe like, I know for us, like we have software we want to buy, we have specific things we want to do in IT before we even ask finance to, send the money out. So we might use this kind of thing to say, all right, did Taylor look at this to make sure it works with X? And then did Chrissy say it was okay that we bought it? And then did it go to Sandy, who will put out the purchase? There's a lot of different things that this could be useful for. Whereas before, you would have just had to have a spreadsheet or a Word document or something, fill it out, send it to another person. They fill it out, send it to the next person. And then, as you know, communication is difficult, and people forget to do things, or they send it to the wrong person. Stuff like
And
that.
this is a lot easier than like creating your own application if we have like app maker type stuff. This is something anybody can do. You can create your own workflow and score within groups. You can also copy forms now. So one of the options in the new form piece is to be able to click this button and grab a form that you have and you want to copy that over and use it again. You can just copy the whole form right from in the new like forms.new interface, or when you create a new form, you can just copy it over, or copy specific questions within that form and bring them over. There's new theming options. So you can choose new headers now. It's not just the colors. You can choose any of these colors or add your own and change background colors and so on and so forth, and some basic fonts, and that'll continue to grow as well to make it more customizable. Because people do complain sometimes, like, well, I can't brand it. Okay, I can. So there you go. In Google Drive, the productivity panel is on the right-hand side, where you can really quickly access Google Calendar, Google Keep, and Tasks, and that is now available in Gmail, Docs, Sheets, and Slides, and Drive. So you can immediately look at all those things or grab stuff and copy and paste it into other things, which is pretty fantastic. So those are available there. One big change: Team Drives has been renamed to Shared Drives. So it's not Team Drives anymore; it's Shared Drives. That just happened a little bit ago. They work exactly the same.
It's actually not that big of a change.
It's not. It's just
a name change.
I was gonna say, I was in there today and I didn't even
notice. It's everything's the same location, and that's probably more important than what the name is. If they had moved it to the bottom or something like that, I think people would be like, "Where did it go? I lost all my Team Drives." It'd be crazy. And it's just Shared Drives. So if you hear us saying Shared Drives, though, you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's what Team Drives used to be. Then we've got some tasks. You can drag and drop emails. You can do reoccurring reminders.
We should show the tasks.
Yeah, we'll show some of that. And then that's our feedback piece, but we'll take questions. So in the email, for example, like with Kim here, I need to take care of this, so I can just grab this and drag it over here and create a new task. And then inside of that, I can add some more subtasks, like maybe go to WeVideo, email WeVideo.
And I tend to use this, we were talking about snoozing and things. This is all just different options, right? Maybe you're not the kind of person who likes to snooze emails, but sometimes I will have like an email I get and it has like a list of steps I need to follow in it. And like, great, I'll get to that at some point. Instead of snoozing it, I'll add it to my to-do list sort of by dragging it over there. And then I will actually take that email it's based on and archive it because I don't need it in my inbox over here anymore. Got it figured out.
Go back to it.
And so the cool thing is I can write my own notes and I can change the title, but if I want to click on that email, it'll pop it right back and I can read the email later.
You can also create like master lists, so or bigger, like separate lists, so you can have tasks, sort of tasks inside of a project, for example. You might have your task for, and then a separate project that has its own tasks that you want to create tasks, subtasks for, or you can just leave it in one. So just new lists of tasks, basically. And you can check them off when they're done. And be like, oh, see, you get that little neat animation, makes you feel good. And so that one's pretty good. Google Keep, same, it's very similar, but you can do more with like adding images and doing drawings. The mobile app allows you to do more stuff, recording your voice and then having transcribed.
I think of Google Keep for note taking most of the time, or simple lists and drawings. And I like that on not when it's in a sidebar like that, but when you go to the website for Google Keep, so keep.google.com, it's laid out like sticky notes. I just like that because I like sticky notes. So you can color them different colors and stuff.
So that's,
Or the calendar thing, I think that's actually really handy too.
yep,
So if you're replying to an email and someone says, are you available on the 3rd? Of course you can pull up your calendar in a different tab. You can always do that. But sometimes it's nice to just have it side by side like this really quickly. You just hit that calendar button and scroll to a different day. The only thing with the calendar that I don't understand why they don't do is they only show your calendar here. So if
Mine
you have
shows Rick.
15 other, what?
Mine shows, I have Rick's on mine, it shows.
you just have to go into this drop down and select the calendars list.
Oh, never mind.
Because I have everything,
Never mind.
sorry.
No, that's
good.
all right. You corrected me.
See, that's what you guys teach us stuff. That makes us feel
Yeah.
good.
At some point, I must have unchecked a bunch of calendars from there. So,
So those are all the big major changes to Google that probably would affect the people in this room. There's a couple other things in products I don't think you guys use, but like Google Classroom and stuff. But so that's what we have as new. But what do you